COVID-19 vaccines no longer required to enter Indonesia. I know that's going to make some people happy. And 17,000 do's and don'ts leaflets are being printed. Well, I guess they're already printed and they're on their way out. For details, stay tuned. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is June 14th, 2023, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? It is another beautiful day. A little cloudy, but not too bad. 29.8 degrees Celsius, 64% humidity, and it is windy, 20.4 kilometers per hour here in Kampung Bugis. And I hope the weather is wonderful wherever you are. So the big news, of course, is that you don't need to be vaccinated to get into Indonesia. And so let's get started with that. First, about President Jokowi. President Jokowi reached his decision on an endemic status, says minister. That's the health minister. According to the health minister, Pak Budi, he has informed the world that the president had a meeting, a limited meeting this last week, and he decided that he is going to make a decision on going into the endemic status. When is he going to say that? Well, according to the minister, it is up to him. Let him announce it. So Pak Budi had informed the president about the current pandemic situation, as well as the situation in G20 and ASEAN countries, and what was going on with WHO. And so the president has all of the information, and he is going to make a decision maybe today, maybe tomorrow. According to Pak Budi, when he met with WHO, they gave Indonesia a lot of congratulations for the way they handled the pandemic. And so he was quite happy about that. And so we're just going to have to wait and see. If there's a decision to go to endemic status, that's not really going to affect us all that much because, well, people are acting like we're already in the endemic status already. And so it's just making it official. And so we'll just have to wait for the president's announcement. But here is the big news, and we'll focus on Lombok here because there's an article about Lombok where it has the information about the revocation of the need to be vaccinated to get into Indonesia. Lombok Airport to no longer require face masks for air travelers. That's not the big thing here. The adjustment comes as a follow-up to the Transportation Ministry Circular number 16 the other day about the health protocols for air travelers. The Lombok Airport General Manager said that the airport is ready to implement the health circular and believes that the latest regulation will have a positive impact on the tourist industry and specifically on Lombok Airport. He said it will drive economic recovery and tourism in a sustainable manner. Based on the circular letter, air travelers are no longer required to show COVID-19 vaccination certificate. However, several recommendations will continue to be made to ensure health and safety in travel is maintained and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Domestic and international air travelers are advised to continue carrying out the COVID-19 vaccinations up to the second booster or the fourth dose, especially for people who, like me, who have a high risk of transmitting the virus or catching it. People traveling with illness are still strongly advised to wear face masks. There is a link to the circular from Satgas down in here in the below, whatever that's called. And if you want to take a look at that, it is in Indonesian. I did not bother translating it. It basically says all the other SEs, the circulars, are no longer in effect. And you don't have to be vaccinated, but you should be. So this is going to make people happy. And this actually came out on Friday, and I was waiting to see an update. I wanted to wait for the tourism ministry to issue an okay, you can come into Indonesia without being vaccinated, and for this to spread. So I looked today and I saw a screenshot of the IATA website, which said no longer need a vaccination to get into Indonesia. And I saw a screenshot of Virgin Australia, which also is updated. Now, if you are coming to Indonesia on an airline, the first thing you want to do is check and make sure that they have the most updated information, because you don't want to show up at the airport and find out that they're still going on the old information. And they go, hey, no, if you're not vaccinated, you can't get on the plane. So forget it. Go home. So check before you leave. So good news for those people that have been waiting a long time to come into Indonesia because, well, they're not vaccinated. And I'm not even going to get into the argument about that. Let's just be happy for those people. And the famous do's and don'ts. 17,000 leaflets have been printed by the Bali Tourism Office, which is called Dispar. And these have the guidelines. Remember, there's 12 things you should do and 8 things you shouldn't do. The head of the Bali Tourism Office, Pak Pohlmann, said that up to 12,000 leaflets had been printed. That was the other day, and that today the number will reach 17,000. These leaflets are going to be handed over to different agencies such as immigration and as well to the foreign embassies so that they can give them to people when they come and apply for a visa to get here. The new flyers will also have the Love Bali application barcode on it. Okay, I'm not sure why. I haven't used that, but it is there. And so you will get this supposedly when you come into Bali at immigration. I would like to see one if anybody gets one and it's coming up here. And the tourism office has also asked hotels to print these as well and give them out to guests when they come. He said, this is Gotong Royong. Everybody has to work together so that those foreigners, those crazy foreigners, will not be doing crazy stuff anymore. You know, those foreigners. Tantoy Yahaya, the former Indonesian ambassador to New Zealand, agreed that the do's and don'ts are a great thing so that they make foreign tourists think before they act, he said. And he did mention that law enforcement has been lacking, which we all know. The laws are there, but hey, they just haven't been enforced very much. And here is a problem that a lot of places are going to have, certainly up here in Bulalang. It's dry season now. No rain here for quite a while, and there are going to be places in Bali that do not have water, not just in Bali, throughout Indonesia, but for us here that are living here, it's going to be a problem, certainly up in areas in Bulalang. And I talked about that, last year, and it's time already. What about Nusa Penida, which has become a very popular place for tourists? The irony of Nusa Penida, abundant tourist attractions, but residents have water difficulties. Well, it says that residents of Nusa Penida should be happy because they've got a lot of tourists coming and they're amazed at all the natural beauty there. But clean water is a rare item, even a luxury for Nusa Penida residents. This is especially because of the dry season, because water needs increase and clean water sources are located quite far away, making distribution process difficult in Nusa Penida. And so as a result, residents have to be willing to spend more to buy clean water, because clean water is needed not only for household needs, but for hotel and restaurant and business activities. And so that is a problem because there are competing competing organizations trying to get water. Residents are being forced to pay as much as 2.5 million rupiahs to get water. The Klungkung Bupati said that some residents are forced to pay as much as 1 million to 2.5 million rupiah a month for water in certain villages that are especially dry and are out of the way and difficult to get water into. The head of Bunga Mekar village, Iwan Yasa, said, in fact, almost all residents have a water storage tank, and they fill this up with rainwater during the rainy season to use in the dry season. But he said when it runs out, we have to buy water. The head of Sampang Hamlet in the village is one of those who uses rainwater, and he said that his water is already used up for things like cooking and bathing and washing and meeting the needs of livestock. And he's been buying water at 175,000 per tank, a tank containing 1,000 liters. In the beginning, he said, Pidam water from the government, Pidam is the water company here, flows, but only once a month. You get a little bucket, not very much. And the regent said he's working hard on trying to improve clean water services through Bermuda and through PEMDAM. And he hopes that they will be able to get some more water to people. Another effort that they're proposing is using seawater distillation, like in Nusa Lembongan. I didn't even know Nusa Lembongan was doing that. And so that's another option that they're looking at. That system is capable of producing 120 liters of water per second. And according to this article, it can even be drunk immediately without further processing, according to the region. Wow. Right now, infrastructure repairs are going on, pipes and leaky faucets and all of that. People working, trying to save as much water as possible, use as little water as possible. And if you haven't been through this, it's hard to imagine. When I lived in Sumbawa, we went through a 3-month period where we had no running water in the house. We had to go to the river to get water for the toilets and wash the clothes. Sue went and washed her clothes in the river along with all the ladies from the village. And we got our drinking water. We bought our drinking water. And for bath water, we would go to the mining company, right outside the mining company where I was working at the time. There was a tap that the community could use. And so people just drove up and they brought their big gallon jugs of water, you know, that you use in your water dispensers. And we would just fill that stuff up and then go home and use it. And that was 3 months. It is a pain having to do that. It is a real pain. And so this is a big issue, not having water. And especially if you've got tourists coming, right? Tourists will want to take baths or use the toilet, and they want to be able to clean up after their snorkeling, swimming, diving, whatever. And so this is an issue, unfortunately, for Nusa Penida. American citizen out of money has been apprehended by immigration. So apparently an American citizen who has been here on a VOA and still has his VOA intact, but said he was out of money, didn't have any money, and so he was trying to get people in a villa to let him stay there, and, well, they refused. And the incident went viral on social media, of course. Pak Sohendra from Immigration at Nurai said that he came in on a VOA and that he lost his passport and he doesn't have any money. So he's just here. He's got nothing. No passport, no money. Pak Sohendra said that they had contacted the United States consulate and to see if they can get some help from them. Pak Sohendra said that they've recommended that he get an emergency passport, but that if he doesn't have any money, he's out, being deported. This is not the first case of people being here without money. I've talked about this before. There's Germans and Russians and French and Australians, everybody. I don't know, I've said this before, I'm not sure why you would come here if you don't have enough money to take care of yourself while you're here. But apparently people do. And so another case of problems going viral. Not supposed to happen, right? But it's still happening. And here's another one, and it's another American. Boy, I guess if you're Russian this week, you're kind of happy the stories aren't about Russians, they're about Americans. The story of a Caucasian driving an Angkot loaned car and being charged with multiple articles. So apparently an American surfer borrowed an Angkot, a public transportation vehicle that a friend of his had bought, and it was being used to transport surfboards because they're surfers. And well, he was driving it without the proper license. Apparently, local citizens found it strange to see a foreigner driving a public transportation vehicle, and so they made videos and put it online. And of course, the police found out about it, and so they went after it, and they found the vehicle running a red light, and they kind of went after him. So when the police finally cornered him, got him to get out of the vehicle, they checked. He had an A and C license, so he must have a Kitas at least, but didn't have a license that allows him to drive a public vehicle. And so that was one thing. And the vehicle's SDNK, the registration, out. And so there were a number of issues with this. And so they're just kind of hitting him with everything. He's being charged with multiple articles here and could face, well, over a year in jail and fined, not that hefty looking at it. I think after you add all of them up, it's still less than 5 million. When asked what he was doing, he said, well, I'm a surfing coach. So the police confiscated the vehicle because it doesn't have any legal documents. And in terms of the driver, well, he's got some problems. I don't know. Remember in the last article, I said about thinking before you do stuff? I don't know that he was thinking before he did stuff. He should know that right now, foreigners are under the watchful eye of many, many, many people. And so you want to be careful about what you're doing. And apparently, immigration is going to be involved in this as well. And so he could be facing deportation too. Got to be careful these days. Think before you act. And if you've got any question at all about what you're doing might possibly get you into trouble, don't do it. There's still no news on charging a tourist tax or raising the VOA, which is under discussion apparently. No news on the mountain ban. There was an article, and I can't find it now. I saw the other day, Sandiaga said that this was under discussion, that the governor could not make this decision by himself. It had to be talked about with the central government as well. And so we'll see how that goes. But, a lot of talk about things, and, well, a lot of those things that are mentioned are purely balloons that they're sending up to see how far they're going to float before somebody pops them. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. See you next time.